designers call you?
Boss.
The boss. So I'm Mike McAndrews, also known as Mick around Specialized. Title I like is Director of Suspension Technologies.
Yep, Chance Farrow. I've been with the company about 6 years now. I work under the Ride Dynamics group, and I focus on suspension, so the RX Tune program is kind of my bread and butter. RX Tune is basically developing suspension and bikes together.
It's a full-on program dedicated to squeezing that last 10% of the performance out. You know, a bike out of the crate, it's so good, and then you have to, as a racer, know how to get the rest of the performance out of it. And so what we do is we take suspension components from some of our top suppliers, but then we continue the effort of making it work to the vision of the product managers. We now develop the kinematics of a frame design based on what we know about the shock designs that are going to be used, so that they all work really well together. So it's more than just a recommended experience. Tune, which is what the sticker says, we go really deep.
It starts with our concept phases with our frame teams and working with the frame engineers and the product managers to see, okay, what is this specific bike supposed to be, whether it's an Epic, Enduro, demo. We have a suspension lab where we can run dyno tests and all that kind of things. And when we know what kind of suspension we're going to spec, we're able to give them spring curves, damper curves, a level of understanding what's possible within the shocks and forks, and it kind of gives them all the right information to build the right kinematics for what we're actually going to use. It's maybe not like the sexiest story, but it's really, really valuable. There's no perfect kinematic, it's the best blend of the two. From the early stages, it's a matter of us bringing in that level of information for the team that they would maybe have to rely on asking Fox or RockShox for, and sometimes you don't get all the information you need. We're the suspension team, but we kind of end up being this Ride Dynamics team. We live a lot of our life in the lab where we do a lot of testing, but we do a lot of our testing out in the field. We have Nicky Donopoli, myself, Brad Benedict. So there's a lot of really good subjective test riding, but we also use data systems as well. We have our own data system that we didn't develop here on our team, but we have some really smart guys in-house that developed it. So we do a lot of field testing, collecting data, and then bringing that back to our lab and did our theories really work? What didn't work? What needs to change? So it's that R&D process with the suspension in mind all the way through.
It's gotten so good now, like Chance was saying, we now develop the kinematics of a frame design based on what we know about the shock designs that are going to be used, so that they all work really well together. And when you gather up enough of these performance gains, it's the sum of those that helps our bike, as I always talk about, get into the first turn a bike length or two ahead of the other guys.
But another big part of the goals with RX Tune is to bring that level of performance to every rider in every different size. I'm actually pretty proud of a lot of the lower end stuff on our comp level bikes. It's an X-Fusion shock that doesn't get a lot of attention. We put a lot of work into making that shock work really well. And I remember Mick telling me early on, he said, there's no reason any suspension needs to ride like shit. And I kind of took that to heart and said, okay, yeah, we can make all of it ride pretty damn good. The suspension calculator is pretty cool, actually. The way that we come up with those settings, we got some really smart computer techs that they build these simulations in a computer, so when you put in your height and weight, they take into account your CG and all that kind of thing on the bike. And then what we add to it is we run dyno tests on all the suspension, and then we feed that to them so they know the actual forces. When you put 150 PSI in a DPX2, they know the exact spring force, and then they can calculate that into their simulation and give you a really, really accurate spring number. And then based on that, we'll recommend all the damper and rebound settings.
Like, we launch a new bike, and one of the journalists, opens up his article about the bike, and the first thing he says is, wow, I just got on this thing and I didn't have to fiddle around with it. How many times have we seen that in the last few years? I just got on the thing and it felt really good. When I read that, I stop, I go, Chance, and we were high-fiving, and that's victory for us.